What's in a name? Turns out, quite a lot, especially when that name is mayonnaise. Coming up at 6, a closer look at the lawsuit putting a small San Francisco food brand in the national spotlight. And that jar of mayo sitting in your fridge? It might not be as harmless as you think. For generations, mayo was trusted. The creamy, simple classic made from eggs, oil, and a touch of acidity. But open most jars today, and you're not looking at food anymore. You're looking at lab-designed emulsions built to last longer than nature ever intended. The big brands made a bet. You'd never read the label. And for decades, they were right. But that changes today. We're breaking down the 5 worst offenders, companies that swapped quality for shelf life, and revealing the 2 brands still worth buying. One of them might already be in your kitchen. Let's begin with number 5, the jar that turned real mayo into a chemical project. It's the familiar blue and yellow staple that once defined the taste of comfort. Same logo, same promise, but a different story on the back. Here's what the label says: soybean oil, water, eggs, vinegar, salt, sugar, and calcium disodium EDTA to protect flavor. Sounds harmless, until you realize it's not your grandma's recipe. It's a formula built for factory lines and 6-month storage, not freshness or flavor. The trade-off is quiet but clear: stability over honesty. Mass production demands perfection. Every jar the same, every season identical. That means tighter pH control, chemical preservatives, and refined oils that can sit under fluorescent light without curdling. A spoonful of stats. 1 tablespoon has around 90 milligrams of sodium and 10 grams of fat, mostly from soybean oil. Once opened, exposure to air and light can oxidize those oils, dulling the taste and scent. Leave the jar out too long, and you'll see the truth. A glossy film forms on top. The aroma shifts from tangy to faintly metallic. Stir it after a week. The top feels slick, the bottom clings like paste. Technically spreadable, yes, but not alive. Shelf life doesn't equal real life. Why it matters: soybean oil is high in omega-6 fats, which can aggravate inflammation and raise triglycerides. Combine that with the sodium, and for people already hitting 3,400 milligrams a day, way over the 2,300 milligrams limit, a simple sandwich can quickly strain the system. And that smooth, shiny texture, it's too perfect. Fresh mayo has soft bubbles and a fleeting tang. This one just sits there, glossy and predictable, like plastic. Real, the label says, but real food changes, breathes, and spoils. Break open a new jar and wait 10 minutes. That faint, coin-like smell, it's the scent of preservation. The ingredient that makes it last is calcium disodium EDTA, perfectly legal, US 21 CFR 169.140, and perfect for shipping. But great logistics don't make great food. Behind the scenes, former plant workers describe production lines tuned not for taste, but precision. Viscosity targets, pH controls, blending windows. Big buyers love it because it behaves perfectly in heat and bulk. Consumers love it because it never surprises them. Consistency sells, but health doesn't always come from consistency. If you care about your heart, choose oils rich in monounsaturated fats. If blood pressure is a concern, keep your sodium under control. That tablespoon of mayo adds up faster than you think. 3 spoons? That's 270 calories before you even count the bread. Here's the fix: keep the comfort, lose the compromise. Use just a spoonful. Mix it with Greek yogurt and lemon juice to cut the oil and salt in half. Add black pepper or paprika for kick. Pair it with fresh veggies or lean meats, not cured ones. If you've ever opened a jar after a hot day and smelled that metallic hint, you already know what we're talking about. So let's call it what it is. The label still says real, but the formula serves the supply chain, not your body. If you want the comfort without the chemical gloss, change your recipe, or change your brand. Next up, the green label that promises Italy in a jar, but delivers a starch experiment instead. Number 4, the with olive oil illusion, front label, promise, made with olive oil. Back label reality, water first, then a blend of canola, soybean, and a dash of olive oil, followed by modified cornstarch. Nutrition snapshot, roughly 110 milligrams sodium and 60 calories per tablespoon. Sounds wholesome, right? Except that made with olive oil doesn't mean olive oil leads the mix. It just makes a cameo. The reduced fat angle isn't about better ingredients. It's about thickening with starch and gums to fake creaminess. And the fine print matters. This isn't mayonnaise, it's mayonnaise dressing, legal, but not the same. Now for the visual test. Spread it on a plate, and it holds a stiff ridge, like pudding. Warm a sandwich, and you'll see the edges release clear water while the center stays firm and glossy. That's starch and water chemistry, not kitchen craftsmanship. Behind that label sits a marketing trick. Olive oil's name sells the fantasy, while cheaper seed oils carry the real load. Reduced fat lines lean on starch, gums, and preservatives like calcium disodium EDTA, which keeps flavor intact on trucks and store shelves. Not for your benefit, but for theirs. Retail data backs it up. With olive oil jars move faster in the light and reduced fat aisles, no matter what the back says. The health trade thickened, low-fat spreads often backfire. Their cushy texture makes you use more without realizing it. 2 tablespoons vanish fast, especially with deli meat or cheese, and the sodium climbs right along with it. The seed oil base leans heavy on omega-6, which can worsen inflammation and push triglycerides up. Olive oil is the supporting actor, starch is the star. Scoop a spoonful into a glass cup and chill it. The surface dulls and thickens. Let it sit out. A shiny plastic-like film appears. Stir it, and the spoon bounces back, elastic and gummy. That's not egg yolk at work, that's science class. Real mayo slumps in size. This one springs back like gel. Why? Because water's cheap, canola and soybean oils stay stable year-round, olive oil adds a dash of credibility, and starch rebuilds the missing fat texture. EDTA finishes the trick by stopping color and flavor changes over time. The outcome? A jar that looks like mayo, photographs like mayo, and behaves like pudding when heat or time hit. What it means for you: if you manage cholesterol, swapping healthy fats for starch calories won't help your numbers. If your kidneys or blood pressure need watching, pairing sodium-rich spreads with processed meat only makes mornings puffier and thirstier. And if you're counting calories, the reduced fat label can be a trap. You'll just use more. So ask yourself, is there olive oil in the recipe or just on the label? A smarter fix: make your own light mayo. Blend ripe avocado, plain Greek yogurt, lemon juice, mustard, and a pinch of salt. Bright, creamy, and clean. No starch tricks, no preservatives. Use 1 tablespoon, then stack your sandwich with crunch, cucumber, carrot, or fresh greens. Research shows buzzwords like olive and light instantly build trust, even when the ingredient list tells another story. That's why jars like this keep selling. If the word needs a footnote, the recipe probably does too. Next up, number 3. The gentleman in the glass jar. Elegant design, thick glass, premium promise, but beneath the charm, the same seed oil story. Many boutique brands, think Sir Kensington's Classic Mayo, start with sunflower oil. It's neutral, easy to blend, but quick to oxidize when it meets light or heat. That means flavor fades faster. Leave it out and a faint sweetness creeps in, not from care, but from tired oil. Refrigerate it and the top turns chalky. Let it warm and it shines like cellophane. Spread it and the taste disappears before the lettuce crunches. You expect the bright pop of yolk and vinegar. You get a quiet hum instead. Here's the twist. Consumers see glass and assume quality. Studies show shoppers connect glass jars with premium oils like olive or avocado, even when the label says sunflower. Packaging alone raises the perceived value, but health doesn't follow marketing. If you're watching LDL or sodium, you're still getting the same seed oil profile and salt hit. Glass looks classy, but it doesn't change what's inside. Pretty jar, plain story. Kitchen reality check. Try this quick test at home. Drop a spoonful on a warm plate and walk away for 20 minutes. When you return, you'll see a faint, oily ring slowly spreading outward while the center stays firm. That shiny halo is oxidized residue catching the light. Take a sniff. The bright lemon scent now leans sweet, out dull, and tired. It's what happens when marketing says elevated, but your tongue tastes sugar and seed oil instead. The reason is no mystery. Sunflower oil dominates because it's neutral, cheap, and easy to ship in bulk. It blends consistently, giving factories predictable texture every time. A little sugar smooths bitterness from aging oil, while vinegar and lemon mask what's left. The result isn't home cooking. It's industrial predictability in a jar. Former insiders admit glass packaging, minimalist labels, and clean fonts instantly raise the premium feel. Supermarkets reward that look with eye-level placement next to true olive oil products, reinforcing the illusion. Most shoppers decide with their eyes, not by reading the fine print. And that's how the luxury illusion works. Let's be real about its use. If you just need a mild base for chicken salad and don't care much about oil quality, this jar will spread fine. But paying extra won't fix the high omega-6 content, won't lower sodium, and won't stop oxidation once you pop the seal. When design wins, your nutrition loses. You're paying for aesthetics, not better numbers. So what matters more, a pretty jar on your counter or a cleaner report from your next checkup? Here's a smarter compromise. If you love that glass jar vibe, make your own fancy blend at home. Combine 2 parts olive oil mayo alternative with 1 part Dijon mustard, lemon zest, and a teaspoon of warm water. Whisk until silky. It looks premium, tastes bright, and skips the preservatives. Pause for a reality check. If this saves even one lunch from a sodium overload, it's worth a click. Don't let marketing do your meal planning. Subscribe for label decoding, smart swaps, and the kind of food math your doctor would actually celebrate. Runner-up, the budget giant. Now to the one that feeds millions and trims every corner to stay cheap. You know the jar, plain white label, big logo, and the promise of real mayonnaise for less. Flip it around and the truth shows up fast. The base is commodity soybean oil, followed by water, eggs, vinegar, sugar, and a dash of calcium disodium EDTA to hold flavor through cross-country shipping. The mission? Uniformity, not freshness. A jar that tastes identical from coast to coast, even after weeks in a truck. The numbers sound harmless, around 90 calories per tablespoon, 10 grams of fat, 90 milligrams of sodium, but those stats hide a system built for price, not purity. The difference isn't in the label, it's in the logistics. Bulk contracts change suppliers mid-year, oils rotate based on the lowest bidder. Your tongue isn't tasting a recipe, it's tasting supply chain math. Want proof? Leave a jar in a warm car trunk for a few hours, open it later. A sweet, plastic-like smell greets you before the lid even clears. The first spread slides like lotion. By the second, it clumps like cold pudding. By day 10 on a warm counter, you'll see it clearly. A pale ring of oil under the lid, a glossy surface, and a sticky bottom layer that grabs your spoon. That's not grandma's recipe. That's the cost of nationwide consistency. Behind the curtain, mass-market mayo is designed for transport durability, not taste. Shipping cycles run for weeks with formulas tuned for stability over flavor. Former private label managers admit, oil sources and specs shift with bids, not nutrition. Cost per ounce wins, quality control takes the back seat. And consumers? They just keep spreading. Health reality, that small 90 to 100 milligrams of sodium per tablespoon adds up fast. Stack it with deli meats, pickles, and bread, and your quick lunch quietly nudges your daily salt limit. Especially if you're on ACE inhibitors or diuretics. One sandwich, and you'll feel the thirst later. The takeaway is simple. Cheap mayo stretches farther on the shelf, but not in your health. Kidneys already working overtime don't need another parade of preservatives. Add in soybean oil's heavy omega-6 load, and it's a bad trade if you're fighting high triglycerides or inflammation. Smooth label, rough reality. Here's the hidden twist. Cheap mayo often triggers bigger scoops. The soft, slightly sweet texture makes your hand go back for more. 2 tablespoons turn into 3. Sodium doubles, oil intake climbs. It still tastes mild, so your brain calls it harmless. That's how a budget jar wins on volume, not nutrition. Want a quick fix? If you're watching your wallet, control the mix. Blend your mayo 1-to-1 with plain Greek yogurt, then add a squeeze of lemon and a dash of pepper. You'll cut the oil in half and still keep that creamy spread. Next, swap deli ham for rotisserie chicken to slash the sodium. Keep the jar chilled, never leave it in a hot car, and always use a clean spoon to prevent oxidation. These small habits protect more than your budget ever could. Ask yourself, are you buying it because it's cheap or because you genuinely like the taste? Be honest. Your heart and kidneys deserve a say in that choice. Drop a comment if a bargain jar ever fooled you. Now for a quick visual test. The warm sandwich check. Spread it edge to edge. See that shiny halo around the crust? That's starch and emulsifiers still working long after the flavor is clocked out. It looks stable, but it screams processed. You deserve better than that. The leading low-cost jars trade real eggs and oil for starch tricks. And if you thought that was bad, wait till you meet the light version, the lab-born cousin that turns mayo into edible putty. This light hero wins awards for engineering, not eating. It looks like Duke's, but behaves like a test sample. Light on fat, heavy on additives. Check the label. The original Duke's built its name on rich yolk flavor and no sugar. Duke's Light Mayonnaise starts with water, soybean oil, modified starch, egg yolk, xanthan gum, potassium sorbate, and calcium disodium EDTA to protect flavor. It stands firm, but that firmness tells its own story. Reduced fat sounds great, until you realize it just means more water and less oil, held together by starches and gums. Preservatives stretch its shelf life, especially in warm trucks. Sodium per tablespoon? Almost unchanged. Servings? They creep upward, quietly. Picture this. Drag a knife through it and the groove stays like spackle. Spread it on warm toast. A wet ring forms before the first bite. On lettuce, it feels gummy, with a faint sweetness where egg richness should be. Behind the scenes, labs focus on viscosity, making it feel like real mayo. Shoppers say it spreads easily but tastes flat. Marketing decks brag about calorie cuts, but skip the part where you end up eating more just to taste something. It's not fraud. It's designed for looks and texture, not health. Here's why that matters. People managing cholesterol often grab light mayo for safety. Then they eat double, getting the same sodium and barely less oil. Add salty cold cuts or chips, and the body feels it. Thirst, puffiness, higher BP. If you've got kidney concerns, preservatives and water-based tricks won't help. Less oil isn't always better oil. And the kicker, that light jar keeps its calorie claim but loses what fat once provided: protection. Oil shields mayo from air and flavor decay. Replace it with water, and oxidation wins. The taste fades faster, and your spoon keeps digging for more. Try it in a potato salad. By day 2, the top glistens while the bottom sticks like paste. Stir it, and you'll hear the faint squish. That's water and starch shifting, not yolk and oil holding. On a burger, the heat draws a clear ring around the bun's edge while the center stays glossy. The result? A soggy sandwich with a sad chemical sheen. Bottom line, if your doctor tracks LDL, triglycerides, or blood pressure, light mayo isn't always the safe bet it looks like. Use it if you like the flavor, just less of it. Because when you double the scoop, the sodium, oil, and preservatives stick around, no matter what the label promises. Make mayo at home in 2 minutes flat. Grab a tall jar and add avocado oil, 1 fresh egg, a squeeze of lemon, a little Dijon, and a pinch of salt. Drop in your stick blender, hold it down, and lift. 10 seconds later, you've got creamy, clean mayo. Chill it and use within a week. If you prefer store-bought, stick with the next 2 brands. Short ingredient lists, real oils, no filler games. Try this experiment. Taste a light jar next to the real one, blindfolded. Which one made you go back for seconds? That's your answer. Not the front label, not the calorie line. The fat left, but the chemistry stayed. The real fix? Bring mayo back to honest eggs and pure oil, even if that means it spoils faster. Flavor should win, not shelf life or factory efficiency. Your table deserves better than a formula built by spreadsheets. After seeing all the seed oils, starch bases, and preservatives that last longer than summer, it's easy to think mayo's a lost cause. It's not. 2 brands still do it right. They cost more, they spoil faster. You have to keep them cold. That's the point. Short labels, real fats. If you're watching blood pressure, cholesterol, or kidney health, cleaner fat and lower sodium help everything else on your plate behave better. These next jars skip the gimmicks and read like a grocery list, not a chemistry lab. Flavor comes from acid and salt, and you'll feel the difference. Smaller scoops satisfy more. Honest fat, bold flavor, simple ingredients. Bonus. Pick number 1, Primal Kitchen Avocado Oil Mayo. The mayo that actually spoils. And that's a compliment. Pop the lid and you'll smell something clean and slightly buttery. Stir it and you'll see tiny air pockets breathe back to life. The texture looks matte, not plastic shiny, because there's no starch polish here. Why it earns a spot? It's built on avocado oil, rich in heart-friendly monounsaturated fats. The label says it all. Avocado oil, organic eggs, vinegar, mustard, salt, and rosemary extract. No starch, no EDTA, no sugar, no mystery gums. On toast, it melts into the bread instead of sitting like frosting. In tuna salad, it lifts flavor instead of coating your tongue. It complements your food, it doesn't smother it. Insider notes say its short shelf life is intentional. Smaller batches mean better taste, not longer warehouse naps. That's why it costs more, and why it's worth it. Health tip: if you're watching triglycerides or LDL, this is a smarter swap than soybean blends. No added sugar means no sweet aftertaste that tricks you into overeating. Sodium stays in check too, so you can season food your way. Real fat, real flavor. Use it well. 1 tablespoon is enough because the creaminess comes from eggs and oil, not fillers. Add lemon zest and cracked pepper for more flavor without extra salt. Fold it into chopped chicken, celery, and parsley for a clean, protein-rich salad. Chill a spoonful. It softens naturally, no rubbery drag. Leave it out for 5 minutes. It still looks like food, not putty. Keep it cold. Use clean spoons. Tighten the lid. If a thin oil layer forms on top, stir once. It comes back together. That's real mayo. You won't miss the sugar fog. Even your doctor would approve this switch. Bonus, pick number 2, Chosen Foods Avocado Oil Mayo. The clean label that went mainstream and still tastes like real food. Twist the lid and you'll catch a mild, fresh scent. Spread it with a knife and it leaves a soft ridge, not a rubber wall. In tuna salad, it keeps the flavor bright, not perfumed. Why it's here. Made with avocado oil, not cheap seed blends. The ingredient list stays short. Avocado oil, cage-free eggs, vinegar, mustard, a hint of honey in some versions, salt, and rosemary extract. No modified starch, no gums, no EDTA. And yes, you'll find it at warehouse stores too, not just fancy markets. Insiders say restaurants love it for big batch salads because it keeps flavor consistent. They accept shorter shelf cycles to keep the oil pure. That's the trade that keeps quality honest. Health tip: replacing soybean oil helps lower omega-6 overload while keeping you full longer. You'll need less salt to make food taste good. Small change, big impact over time. Better oil, better mornings. Use it smart. Mix 2 parts mayo with 1 part Dijon and a dash of paprika for deviled eggs that pop without a salt hit. For coleslaw, thin it with lemon juice and skip the sugar. The crunch stays bright because the oil isn't fighting dull flavors. Spread a teaspoon on warm toast. It melts cleanly, leaving a soft sheen. Set it next to a seed oil jar and wait 10 minutes. The clean one still looks like food. The cheap one turns glossy and greasy. Store it cold and dark. Don't park it on the fridge door if your family likes to stand there debating snacks. Use it within weeks. It's not designed to survive heat or neglect, and that's a good thing. Price check? Yes, it costs more, but portion control makes up for it. A real emulsion carries flavor further. No need for double scoops. Which jar would you ditch today? The olive oil imposter or the light that stole your flavor? 2 clean jars can replace 3 problematic ones in a week. Creamy can be comfort, not compromise. Want to see how salad dressings hide their tricks next? Stick around. Short labels, clean fats, real food.